As I said,
You like
No.
and we're live. Welcome to June's Thirsty Thursday, everyone.
Yay.
Happy
Hello.
Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. Yes.
yes, happy Pride. I got my Pride shirt on.
Yes.
There it is.
So, welcome to our new guests. We have Marissa and Vanessa from Renegade Film Festival with us this month. So, Marissa and Vanessa, tell us a little bit about Renegade Film Festival, the history, your roles, all that kind of good stuff.
The fest was originally launched as the Women in Horror Film Festival, and 2021 really brought about some fun changes, and I partnered with Marissa to rebrand in order to evolve and expand, and we became the Renegade Film Fest, and we just really wanted to create an inclusive space and celebrate all of the amazing things that independent film has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we were realizing that by only elevating women, we got a lot of requests from BIPOC and LGBTQ people who were like, can we join in and have some fun too? And we had created what I think is a magical and safe and wonderful space for creators in a world that is still very kind of scary, no pun intended.
Yeah.
So we decided to just blow it open, and I'm so excited to say that now we get to just expand who we get to elevate and the voices we get to have and share with the world, because it's still a tough, marginalized space in film, and I love that we get to specialize in helping people who sometimes would have a hard time getting a seat at the table.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's like everything that we're about in this podcast.
Yay!
So we love it. If someone wanted to submit material for you guys to check out, how would they do that?
Film Freeway. Everything is done exclusively through Film Freeway. You can just search up Renegade Film Fest. I think it's the only fest that has the name Renegade in it. But filmfreeway.com, Renegade Film Fest. Film Fest? I can't even talk today. You know what I'm saying.
Glitter Burrito might be the coolest handle ever. Hi, Glitter.
Yeah.
Burrito.
I want to know the history of that.
She's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So where can they find you on the socials? Give them all your socials.
We're on all of them.
Facebook. Some of them better than others.
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Again, Renegade Film Fest. We're there. We're pretty active. I'd say I'm going to be the first to admit that sometimes social media is challenging for me. Platform-wise, I'm probably the most comfortable with how Facebook works. But we are definitely boosting the Instagram and the Twitter. So we are active on all three.
So make sure you go out and follow them so you can keep up to date on everything Renegade Film Festival. We're so excited.
Yes, thank you so much, you guys. I also want to just throw out there that we accept both scripts and short films and full-length features, so please submit. We're also running a 30% off discount this month for Pride. Just use the code PRIDE at checkout, and that's for anybody and everybody who wants to submit this month, and we'll be accepting entries through December. We're going to blow it open for a while. Yeah. And can I just take a second to fangirl? I'm a little nervous to be here with you guys. I've been listening to the podcast for a while. I love you guys. I always love a podcast that can both crack me up and make me feel like I'm sitting and hanging with my friends, and also make me be like, I never thought of it that way. And you guys do both of those things, and it to me is just such a slam dunk. So I'm gonna fangirl just a second. I'm like, hey, you're on the Rockefeller Street, and I'm good. And I'm good. I'm gonna go back to being cool.
Thank you so much. But also, you talk about your podcast, because you also have a very cool podcast.
Oh, I would love to. Thank you. Yes, the Jersey Ghouls are. Oh my God, yeah, right. I mean, every podcast is great to drink with, but you guys, bar is high. Yes, feel free to check us out at JerseyGhouls.com. We are trying to bring a somewhat comedic feminist twist to analyzing horror movies, where I get all academic and get on my soapbox and yell at the clouds and tell the kids to get off the horror lawn. My partner likes to just gush over special effects and fangirl and be just completely just silly, and it works for us. It does, and we're so excited. We're actually doing
a beautiful combination.
Thank you. We're actually doing
crossover needs to happen whenever we have our lives together. Hopefully, the summer falls.
I'm in for it. I think in October, huge crossover event would be amazing.
It's the season of Halloween, so we can't have enough scary podcasts in the same podcast.
Love it.
I don't have a podcast, but can I just come?
Yes.
You have
More the
Zoom.
merrier.
Just get a Zoom and like get onto Anchor, and you can have one tonight. Like we can start you one within 30 minutes.
I'm in.
It's true. That's what Trey and I did. We're just like, bloop, 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 and here we are.
We're gonna have a podcast Royal Rumble in October. 19 will enter. Maybe some will leave.
My God, Thunderdome style. I love it.
Everybody.
So awesome. All right. Well, as we do with everyone when they have their first visit with us, we have to get down to the nitty gritty. So we're going to start with Vanessa. So Marissa, you get some time off for a second. But so Vanessa, what is your favorite scary movie?
Okay, so that is an impossible question to answer because I cannot pick just one. But I do have some tried and true favorites, and for various reasons, most of which have to do with nostalgia because I grew up on them. But I really do absolutely love The Exorcist. I think that was the first film that truly terrified me to my core on a level that I did not experience with any other film. I still, as an adult, sometimes will revisit it, and I'm like, I really got to maybe turn all the lights on, and because demon shit just really scares me. And I'd say for like kind of a modern version of something scary, Sinister. Ooh. I was not anticipating that film to be what it was, and
me neither.
Wow! Again, lights on, and I don't know if you guys do this or if I'm just completely insane. But when I'm scared, like I run really fast up the stairs because I think something's after me. I'm 45 years old and I am still doing that. So I did that after Sinister, and it was like, I had to hurry because something was there. Yeah, I mean, I love The Strangers. I think that is a beautiful slow burn, and it's just, I can't look at it enough. I mean, the original Halloween, that is my jam. That is some good fun stuff. I love classic Hitchcock. I think The Birds is brilliant. Those are my tops.
Awesome. So it seems like you're kind of all over the place, or do you have like a favorite subgenre? Just kind of everything?
I appreciate so much about different things that it's hard for me to say that this is my go-to favorite subgenre. I mean, I love cinema. And I know that that's generic and boring, but I want to consume as much film as I can.
Love it. And so what got you into horror? What's your horror origin story?
I think because
I got bitten by a spider. Isn't that always the way?
Radioactive spider. Superpowers. No, I think because it was kind of forbidden. I am a diehard Wolf follower. So for me, especially as a kid, just never kind of going outside the line to be knowing I couldn't have something or look at something, it just really struck that curiosity. And I snuck around. I snuck around way too young to watch films that I should not be seeing at such a young age. And they were a little bit traumatizing, but I kind of got hooked. It was a weird high. I mean, I just kept chasing it to see how scared I could get.
That's fun. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So Marissa, on to you.
Ooh,
what's your favorite scary movie?
All right. So I gotta say, and this is like, literally, I feel like this is the equivalent of saying you love White Claw when somebody asks you your favorite liquor. But I have to say, Night of the Living Dead. And I will die on that hill because when I was really way too young to be watching this stuff, and I got to give a shout out to my 80s parents who were like, you want to watch it? Like pretty much X-rated horror? You go, girl. But I was like 6. Never once like censored anything. They'd walk in. I'd be like watching gory decapitations. They'd be like, that'll do. And they'd pat my head. They'd keep moving. and shout out to them because I wouldn't be here today without it. But Night of the Living Dead was the movie that like really shook me to my core and made me realize that horror can be a true mirror of everything that you're scared of in society and a safe place to kind of explore all of those anxieties and all of the things that are so just effed up about the world. Sorry, I don't know if I can curse. But at the end of the day, I'm sure it'll always be Romero for me. That'll always be the thing that the person who comes out of my mouth, he just was such an inspiration to me as a filmmaker and just a horror fan. Yeah.
That's awesome. So are zombies your favorite subgenre?
Yeah. I'd like to be cool and say that, like, I'd like to come up with something way cooler, like 80s, slashers with people getting slayed by guitars. But yeah, no, I'm very generic. It's zombies all day.
That was a
Party
wild
Massacre.
sequel. That was a wild sequel. But also, if you're a Romero fan, you're going to be very happy. Not with Rawhead Rex, but afterwards.
Okay.
Yes.
Amusement park. I'm hoping. I was blown away. Yeah. So that's how I got there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a remarkable film. I mean, we could probably unpack that all night long, but
we haven't seen it. We ended up doing something different. Like, we're gonna get into it later, but we let our patrons on our Patreon pick this summer's theme, and we've been doing it. It's Summer Randos, as chosen by Shutter TV, and there is some Romero coming up. There is some Romero coming up.
Hint, wink, wink. Yeah, because Shutter just released his like unreleased piece, and so they've been like Romero everywhere.
Oh man, floods my basement. It really does.
I'm gonna like forward it all to you every time one drops. It's gonna be like, for Marissa, you know why? Personally tagged.
Yes, I'm so here for it. I can't wait.
All right, well, let's do a little trivia before we get into our topics for tonight.
trivia.
Yes, I'm so excited.
This is me and Sharai always suck at this, and everyone else is great. So get ready.
Last month was our best month because Miguel knew stuff, and that's something that I'm trying to do.
Okay.
In the future, to know things.
Yes, and no cheating, right? We can't like quickly Google. My hands are up here. Not using my phone.
No cheating.
Quizzo rules, Vanessa.
Handshake. All right. So,
all right, let's do it.
And anyone listening or watching online, if you can chime in the comments, let us know if you know it before we do. So, what was the name of the character Zoe Bell played in Death Proof from 2007?
I won't take it. I won't touch it over there.
Do you know it?
No, but the DVDs are over there.
You're talking to a ginormous fan of a certain director, and I'm shocked she doesn't know this.
Because I can't remember details.
It's been too long for me. I wanted to revisit it, and then I was here. And
watch it tonight and call all of you and be like, I figured it out.
It was something badass. I feel like fuck. I got nothing.
Anybody got a guess?
You start with a C.
A C?
Can I buy a vowel?
You don't need a vowel.
I phone a friend.
Well, you will at some point. All right, are you ready? Do you want to hear the answer?
Mm-hmm.
So Zoe Bell's character in Death Proof's name was Zoe Bell. The character was named after her.
Well,
badass.
I almost said that funny. I was like, her name's Zoe Bell. I should have, because it wouldn't have been funny. It would have been right.
Oh, Quentin. Now it's done.
Not going to shame the Tarantino fan in the room, but
I am ashamed. I should do something. I should have to get slimed or something.
So the rest of these questions on this card are so easy. Are you ready?
What I'm scared.
Lightning round. Nosferatu from 1922 was originally released in what audio format? A silent or sound film?
Silent.
A silent film.
Yeah.
I think they dumbed down the questions after we missed the first one, Vanessa.
Here we go. Ready? What was the name of the Stephen King novel that the film Pet Sematary from 1989 is adapted from?
Is this a joke?
Come on. Misery.
Pet Party.
Cujo.
Dad's Data.
The Cat in the Hat.
9 Lives.
What is the name of the youngest Freeling child in Poltergeist?
Oh,
Carol Ann.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come to the light, Carol Ann. And then 2 seconds later, go away from the light, Carol Ann.
Thank you.
instructions were not very
Thing
clear.
is that do it, don't do it, do it, don't do it.
I've had that grape for years.
Right.
It's
Surrounded by monsters. Which way do I go?
Okay, here's the kicker one. Y'all ready for this? What is the name of the protagonist of the Scream series?
Sidney Prescott. What is? Where was this card at when I was playing this game by myself and losing? Over months of me being the only person answering these by myself.
Just sad solitaire.
And it was like, I don't know. And now it's all like, hey, what's your name, Sharai? And I'm like, wow.
I feel like the next question is going to be like, how many R's in horror?
Now, the next one is a little difficult. I wouldn't know this one because I haven't seen the film. But in Audition from 1999, what number is Asami designated in the audition process? I need to watch this movie.
It's a great, I mean, God, that's a tough one.
Bits and pieces. I haven't sat start to finish on that one, so don't kick me out of the club.
11. I know there were.
I'll tell you who's closest. Y'all guess the number, and I'll tell you who's closest.
13.
Without going over. Price
Without
right
going
rules.
over.
4.
The closest would be Sharai. The answer is 28.
Oh, I was way off. Way off.
He did his due diligence.
All right. Well, let's get down in because we've got a lot to talk about because we've got some really exciting topics to talk about tonight. So, since you guys started as a very female-centered film festival, we want to talk about female-led horror films that maybe we need to be introduced to, maybe the audience needs to be introduced to, because that's one of the things Sharai and I always talk about is like, we wish this movie was directed by a woman because there's something there, but the man just mistreats her.
You skipping ahead.
Oh, I am. I'm just excited to talk about it. Damn it.
No, we're gonna get to it.
Back to the boring stuff. I'm just kidding.
No, I'm always so ready to gush about women in horror because it is really like the place where I got my passion is in all of this. And yeah, like I'm a huge fan of the OGs of women in horror. People like, you know, like whether it's Pet Sematary or Near Dark or even Slumber Party Massacre, you know, like I freaking love those. And I think there's so much to unpack and there's so much meat on those bones that like I just get suckered into those. But if we're talking like more recent stuff, the two big ones that wowed me recently were definitely Girl Walks Home. I saw it was on somebody else's list too, because that movie blows my mind every time. And also Love Witch, I thought was so like kooky and 70s and wild, and I loved it. Was so like genre bending, and those were my big two ones recently. So,
well, I'm adding it to the big list.
She keeps a ginormous list of movies to watch. She started it in 1984,
and I've seen 3.
She's gonna get to that list one day, you guys.
I also recommend Love Witch. It was fantastic.
Right? Like
I wrote it down.
It was a blast.
We interviewed Stephen Wozniak because he saw us not tweeting. We were on Instagramming. We were Instagramming Love Witch, and he was like, "Would you like to interview me?" And we were like, "Yes." And we were like, "That's too easy. Is this a scam? Are you going to pretend to be Stephen and get us sued?"
Right? Sometimes that kind of stuff is just amazing when it comes together.
I love it.
Yeah. How about the rest of you guys? What should I watch?
Well, let's actually, before we get into the female directed horror, let's go back.
Something's happening.
I got allergies. That's what's happening.
You're allergic to the Midwest.
Who is it?
Let's go back and just talk generally about what we've been watching this month. What have y'all been getting up to in the horror genre, women directed or not?
So I've been watching some series. I binged both seasons of You because a lot of people told me about it, and I loved it. And I also recently started watching The Handmaid's Tale, which is not really horror in the traditional sense, but horror in the very real sense.
Oh, but yeah, goddamn, is it the scariest thing?
I haven't gone back to it for a while because I was like, I need a break. I am so stressed out.
Same.
It got to I don't want to say anything, but
causing me anxiety, but I'm not that far in.
Trent, I'm right there with you, man. I had to tap out. Like,
and now I'm way behind, and I'm like, God, I want to catch up, but I'm like, but now I need to start back and rewatch things, and I'm just going to be stressed again.
It's a season and a half behind. My friends who are current are like, "Did you see?" I'm like, "Don't ruin anything, because someday I'm going to finish it. I just don't know when."
We're, I think, on season 1, episode 6.
Oh, you got a lot. You're poor baby.
I know.
Like, oh, sweet baby angel.
Lots gonna happen. On the lighter end, I will say, we talked about it recently because I just watched it finally. It was Freaky.
So good.
And I loved it. Loved it.
No, we covered that, and now I bother Michael Kennedy sometimes on Twitter because that's how the world works.
He is seriously a national treasure. Like, I adore him.
Yeah.
One of my favorite tweet artists out there right now.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Agreed. And I think he's working on a sequel, and I'm really excited about it.
Me too. What are you doing over there?
He's really not.
So we're actually over at Jersey Ghouls headquarters. We're doing Summer in the Burbs, and so we did Stepford, which I was embarrassed to admit I'd never seen all the way through, and blew my mind. Like, so good.
The original.
I survived the new one, but barely. But we watched both, yeah. And we actually just finished People Under the Stairs, which, holy shit, does that hold up still?
That was my very first date, was to that movie.
That's fun.
A lot to unpack there.
My first date, and
put a pin in that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
It's a strong choice.
It's a bold choice.
Yeah.
Well,
Let's talk about quality tonight.
I like to cause a ruckus. Yeah.
How about you guys? What are you watching?
I just watched Impetigore with Girl That's Scary on Clubhouse. By the way, congrats, Girl That's Scary, who just became a Dread Central official podcast yesterday. We love to see DIY podcasts succeed, and especially one that is that amazing and works that hard.
That's awesome.
So yeah. I also watched City of the Dead, which was a wild time, and I it's gross. That's what I have to say about that. It's real gross. I have also just been watching a lot for the podcast and possible future things, but I also just did Tribeca.
Nice.
And so, like, I saw a bunch of stuff. I saw Agnes and No Running and No Man of God and My Heart Can't Beat Unless You Tell It To. And I reviewed most of them. I had to type out for a couple because I was like, I'm putting my life in boxes and this is too many movies. I just gonna pick the ones that I thought would be fun to talk about or interesting to talk about. And yeah. But it was a lot there. And you can find all of those reviews on our social media, especially our YouTube and all that good stuff. We also have been catching up on our Shudder screener, so we dropped like a review for An Unquiet Grave today.
Awesome.
And we have a couple.
That too. So
yeah, it did on Shudder. And we've reviewed a couple more movies, which I can't remember because I just moved, but I think they're on Trent's list after his other stuff.
They are. So yeah, we've been watching a ton of stuff for the pod. Next week, like we were talking about earlier, I think we were live when we were talking about this. I don't remember. I've been drinking. But next week we're covering the classic Rawhead Rex.
The classic. That's a bold word.
I didn't say it was a good classic. I just said it was a classic. Where I believe that 25% of that episode is just Sharai and I laughing at the monster being called Rawhead.
Spoiler alert.
You ruined it for the audience.
And then
the art is ruined.
Right. And we also have a review coming out next week of Vicious Fun. Watch that because Sharai and I viciously disagree.
That's what we do here on Fear Street.
Spicy.
Disagree.
But and then I'm getting excited about to watch Werewolves Within. It was made by Josh Rubin, who we know from Scare Me last year, which was a fantastic
Which was
film.
one of my favorite, my favorites of last year, yeah.
Same, it's in my top 5.
Same, me too.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that I just put that movie on now just to just because I background noise, just to make me feel better about life. I love it so much.
I've watched it an uncomfortable amount of times. We don't talk
Me
about it.
too. Oh my God, me too. Yes.
When we interviewed Josh, I was like, I've seen it a lot, and that's all I can say.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I might have been embarrassing if I was in a room with him. I don't even know if I would handle that well. More embarrassing than I am now, I should say. Also, guys, can I just give a quick shout out to Joanne McWilliams, my aunt? She is my literal #1 fan. Always has my back when it comes to horror stuff. She is one of the reasons I love horror. She's watching right now, so I love you, Joanne.
Oh, that's
I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of the horror. I've been outside of the podcast and the horror I've been watching. We all know, if you've been following these Thirsty Thursdays, that I love reality trash TV.
Who doesn't?
Because it's just a good palate cleanser at the end of the night.
90 Day Fiance.
I've been watching MTV's The Challenge, back from the beginning, back in the old school days.
No judgment here.
Where did
I
you
love
find
it.
that? What?
It's on. I have Paramount Plus because
That's
Drag Race
right.
All Star starts today.
Damn it! These stupid boxes. They need to unpack themselves. I forgot.
But yeah, so I've been doing a lot of that, and of course playing Mass Effect because I'm a nerd and I love it.
Nice.
I can live that.
Nice.
So, all right, now we kind of got into it earlier, but let's go deep into some of our favorite movies by femme creators. Let's talk.
Yeah.
So, because Marissa went earlier, I don't mind saying I was a girl walks home alone at night. That was in my list because my top 3 favorites at the moment, and like the first thing that came to mind when this question was popped up. That's how I put that sentence together. The Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, Tigers Are Not Afraid, and The Invitation. Like, if you haven't seen those 3 movies, you are missing so much art. And they all happen to be created by women.
Yeah.
Invitation was directed by Karen Kazama, but like written by dudes. But we'll look the other way because Karen's an amazing artist, and it's a great time. So yeah.
I thought The Invitation was so good. Like,
I just watched it last month or the month before for a friend's podcast, Brother Ghoulish, and I was like, my mind is blown. I know we have to record this because you're on a schedule, but let's do some zebra cats for a second so I can just censor myself. So I took 30 minutes and we listened and watched zebra cats videos when we recorded the episode because I was safe then.
I love that.
It was one of those movies that gave me what I like to call the Home Alone effect, or like the Meet the Fockers effect, where you're like, oh man, why are you you're just going through that journey and you're so uncomfortable for them the whole time. Like, you just.
And I was stressed because I'm like, where is it? Are they pointing? Is it in the water? Is it in the air? Is it in the couch? I'm like, what? How is this going down? I know it's going down. I don't know how. And then you see it and you're like, oh, and then it's off the rails from there. And you're like,
Bonkers. Yep.
Yeah. My mind pieces are all over my apartment in Bloomington. That's why I had to leave because it was a mess. I could not clean up.
It's true. No, I felt the same way.
I love it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see that. I wrote
It's
it
on
up.
Netflix. It is wild.
The worst guest to have on because I've not seen a lot of stuff.
We love talking about movies though, so I will always give a list. It's all I do on all my social media. I'm just like, what do you like? Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Why don't you like this? Just
Yeah.
Me too. Makes me so happy. She humors me. I think that pad she writes on is blank. She just pretends with me because I give her so many movies. She'll be like, yeah, Marissa. And she's like writing smiley faces and like winks and shit, you know.
I'm a bad therapist. It's just like, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Actually, I'm going to watch that as going on your like gravestone, I think.
I think you are correct. I should at least get a shirt.
No, the tombstone's going to say, "Here lies Vanessa." She's still going to watch that.
I mean,
Don't worry, she's still going to watch that.
The crazy thing is I do watch a lot. I watch a lot of movies and TV shows, but somehow I am missing half or more than what everyone else is watching.
You got to really double down on not having much of a social life to get where I am, I think. Like, I mean, you got to really just
I don't feel like I leave this room very much, but somehow, I don't know. I'm bogged down with my own ridiculousness. but they're on the list.
Also an excellent name for your memoir / gravestone. Either way.
I've got that going for me.
Vanessa, what are some of your favorites?
So I gotta say, this is older, but I really loved it, was Ravenous. I thought that was a solid film. I also watched it. I think it came out in 2019, but I just recently watched it not too long ago. And actually, it was a filmmaker who was at the first fest. She did a kind of a found footage film called The Devil's Doorway, and I thought she did a beautiful job. Her name is, she goes by Ash Clark, because I will horribly butcher her name by trying to say it the proper way. So I won't. But Ash is, she's amazing. She had entered a short film called Childer, which blew me away. And then I saw her do this great film, and I was so excited. It was really, I want to see so much more from her, because she's on my list of who to watch, because she's phenomenal. And I gotta say, I think Jennifer's Body is so much fun. Like it's like my good popcorn fun movie.
Well, you should say that. We just covered that for a fundraiser, so it's our Patreon exclusive that goes up tomorrow for our patrons.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And I adore American Psycho.
Yes. Yeah.
The book, I couldn't get through. It ruined me. I liked the movie. I put it down. So I don't know if there's a lot of, because I was like, nope.
Yeah, I don't think that's not something I would want to like live with, because with a book you've got to live with it for like a month or a week or whatever.
Did you guys read it by any chance?
I got halfway and I was tapped out.
Did you by any chance get to the part where the guy and the dog, and that's where I stopped. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah, I think I tapped out somewhere around there too. Yeah. And I mean, I feel like I always like to test my nerve. I don't know if you guys do this with books too, but I'm like, I'll read a Chuck Palahniuk book. I don't care. I'm a bad bitch. And then I start and I'm like, why would I do this to myself? Like, I hate it so much. But I read it because I'm like Poppy Z. Bright is another one. Like, there's so many authors that I'm like, why do I do this to myself? But I do.
Yeah.
If I got $1 for if I started something going, I'm a bad bitch, and then like in the middle of it I was like, no. I'm a delicate flower, and I'm going to go drink.
Yeah, I mean, and part of it too, I think, is just, again, that kind of goes back to my thing of like, oh, this is going to be too rough for you. I don't know. And so like, I'm like, let me see. So I just recently read The Girl Next Door, and I was laying in bed with my husband, and literally was like,
Ketchum's another one, yeah.
I was like, I gotta put this down.
Every single one of his books, but I had to read
that. I was like, ugh. And he's like, what's wrong? I was like, can we watch Seinfeld or for a minute?
Cleanse the palate.
It's not working. They're just for show.
It's a cool aesthetic though. So Trent, what are some of the favorite movies you currently have by film creators?
Yeah, like I agree with all the ones that y'all mentioned that I've seen. The only ones I would add that we have not talked about, number one, Promising Young Woman.
How did we forget it?
Still go back to that film. It's still in my brain. It's still in my brain. When did we cover it, Sharai? Like February?
February. We
God.
recorded in February and it went up in March. Like, I get defensive when men are like, I don't like it because, by the time they say because, I'm like, we're fighting.
Yeah, me too. I'll turn a table. I will.
Yeah. I will turn a table tonight. Like, right. I will go off of it just to flip it, to be like, how dare you?
Same. Yes. I get, and you're right. It's like it's gotten in my brain and it's never left.
Everything about that movie is perfect. The soundtrack, the performances, the script, the direction, the cinematography. It's just, it should have won more than it did in the award season, but that's another rant.
100% agree with you.
The acting was amazing and should never be touched, even to include Margot Robbie, as the critic said.
Slap that critic.
Dude, and I love Bo Burnham. I'm crushing so hard on him after his Netflix special that like
I haven't seen it yet.
You get definitely worth the watch. It'll mess with you too. But I love everything about him that I'm like, oh God, I can't reconcile him in that movie now anymore because I love him too much. But God, flawless. But Vanessa, did you see that one?
Oh my God! You need
Put her out
to
of the-
put that at
put
the
her out
top
of
of
the-
the
It's
list.
worth the rental. It's worth it because normally movies now, because we're
On my
all
list.
like $20, $25. Like, no.
Right.
But that one, I was like,
Worth
this is
everything.
worth it. I rented it twice at that price point. And then I went ahead and bought it.
Yeah,
Same.
I
I
pre-ordered
did-
the Blu-ray as soon as I would have got to have it.
I
Me
was like,
too.
one of them I can write out for the podcast. The other one I have to eat. And you know what? Fennel deserves that, however much of that she gets.
That's
Give
right.
it to her.
That's what I
one of
said.
those
Give them the movie money.
that I've been wanting to see, and I started to pull it up, and my husband was like, "Oh, I think I watched that on the plane," and I looked at him and I was like, "What?" Because he will not watch anything unless Denzel is in it. So I was just like, "You watched that without me?"
We're gonna put a pin in that too. Circle back later. But in the meantime,
I mean, believe me, if Training Day is on, no one else watches anything. I'm like,
great movie.
I mean, to be fair, I really like that movie too, but like, how many times do we have to watch it? I do that with Rocky, so I can't really fault him too much because I will cancel shit if Rocky comes on. I'm like, I'm sick. Something's happened. I might have diarrhea. I gotta watch this. Goodbye. I'm not showing up.
So, but yes, you need to put Promising Young Woman at the top of the list.
Agreed.
Push everything else down.
It really
Incredible.
is because of all the buzz, and I want to be able to participate in the conversations, and I'm just.
But going back to Bo Burnham, I think the fact that everyone loves him and loved him back then, I think that's what makes him the perfect casting for that character
Agreed.
because he plays both of those things so well. The dichotomy is, oh my God.
In our episode, I talked about how every guy that was a creep was someone we all have feels for. Like Adam, America's boyfriend, Brody.
Yes.
Sam Richardson, who's in and leading Werewolves Within, and we know him from like Veep and other comedic roles, and
Yep.
also like
And
the complicit friend who's a problem. Like all of these guys, like
Agreed.
people from the New Girl. I forgot his name. Oh my God.
I was so upset when I saw him. I was like, no, how dare you?
That's Greenfield because he's like New Girl and Veronica Mars. And we're like, he's a
Yep.
safe, funny dude. And he's like,
Yeah.
hi, am I? And it's like, nobody's safe.
I know it was so brilliant because I've had dirty thoughts about every single one of those guys, and then I was like, "Oh my God, they're my sweet baby angels," and it was brilliant. It was
Fennel
fucking
sat down and was like, who did you grow up with a crush on? And who do you find funny today?
Let's
I'm
ruin
going to
it for
call
you.
all of them, and they're going to be here. Because you're like, oh, he's a creep. Oh, he's a creep.
Which is
Everybody's a creep. And it's so realistic that way.
right because who knew all of our heroes are total creeps, as
Right.
we've learned.
There's always a story behind every good guy. So, like, why not? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah. And the only other one I would add to the list, and this might be a controversial one, and I will make a disclaimer that this is not a perfect film by any means. And the original is definitely probably technically better, but I think the remake having a woman's eye helps in a lot of ways. But the remake of Carrie.
Okay, you said that.
I don't hate it. Number
I
one.
am
The
going to
original's
accept it
better.
because here's what I feel. Everybody can like what they like for any reason, and nobody should judge it and be an asshole because of it. And I think that is beautiful. I actually liked a lot of elements that were in the remake, but I'm a sucker for the original.
Oh, same. The original is better. I just think the remake really dove into the relationship between the mother and daughter a lot more than the original did, and I really liked that.
I would agree that, yes, they did do that.
And it really got into the mother's mental health that the original did not really touch.
Agreed. Yeah, there were things that were really well done. I would give you that. I mean, I'm not gonna say shit because I like Carrie too. So I've got no range. And like the range.
How embarrassing is it for me that like I'm missing some of these great films, but I've seen Carrie too.
You've got your priorities straight, girl.
Priorities.
Something's wrong with me.
I can live with that. Yeah, I like that.
tend to go for the low hanging fruit.
That's how she partnered with me, y'all.
No. There there needs to be a separate festival for low-hanging fruit of horror. And Rawhead
Maybe-
Rex can finally have something.
We could just add that as a special category. Like, we'll do a midnight showing of the low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. It's not the Razzies. It's saying we respect you and you're lame.
Dude, it's like getting a Razzie. I'd be so excited anyway.
It's not about the respect. It's like you made a movie.
There was some stuff happening for a certain amount of time, and we watched it. Go you.
Yeah.
So, since you both are into the film festival, you have an eye for up and coming artists. Are there any up and coming creators that we need to know about and the audience needs to know about? The answer is yes. So tell us what they are.
Yeah.
So before she even plays or tries to play it off, Vanessa is absolutely a director you need to be watching out for, because everything she does is mind-blowing, and it's the reason why I'm here, and I can only dream to learn the secrets of the business from her. I also think that there are always so many indie filmmakers who are blowing minds, and I just sit around waiting for them to blow up, and I have to just give shout outs to people like Christopher Moore, Stacey Palmer, Michael Kennedy, someone I'm waiting to go right to the top. Like, I want him to be too big to respond to my tweets anymore, he's just so talented and lovely.
But even when he does now, I'm like, oh my God, he just tweeted me back.
I know, I get all flustered. Like,
whenever he retweets us or like he likes something, I'm like, Michael noticed us today.
Sam Levinson, I don't know if you guys are as obsessed with Assassination Nation as I am. If you haven't seen it, please do. It's a divisive film. You either love it or hate it. It's like a modern day Salem witch trials, but he's someone who I think everybody needs to give him every job in Hollywood. So who'd I miss, Vanessa?
Well, I double down with you on Christopher G. Moore. I get really excited about people who are absolutely so passionate about the craft. You can have money, you can have this, you can have connections, but people that are really thinking outside the box. And I think my list really does cover that. But he came to mind when I thought about that. But there's a woman, and I hope I don't mispronounce her name, Zandashay Brown, who had a beautiful short in the fest called Blood Runs Down. And I remember watching it, and I don't even think I took a breath. It was just remarkable. And the little girl that was in it, oh my God, she actually won the award for Best Acting that year because it was wildly impressive. And I think as a director, it can be really, really challenging to deal with very heavy material and a child who's performing. So she's definitely one to watch. And I think she's getting some good stuff because I'm seeing her name a lot on the interwebs, and I'm so excited. And I'm just like, ooh. Ash Clark, of course. I had mentioned her earlier. And then there's another wonderful girl, Helena Aguilera, who did a short film called Devorame, and she's just, my God, she gets me excited. And they're just making really, really amazing original content that is really, I think, forcing people to think about things. And I love that.
I'd also there are some people who kind of dip into both acting and also directing, like Jennifer Chundrug and Jenna Canal and all those people who Jenna Canal, probably best known for Terrifier, but just so amazing, so talented. I just keep hoping that they're going to make something else because everything they make just blows my mind. And they're the kind of they're just utility players. They can act, they can write, they can direct. I mean, and they blow my mind with their talents. So there's a lot of people like that who we've been really honored to get to know because of the festival. So
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
So go find those people if they all find links and send them. A lot of them have their shorts on Alter.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No, we need to get a list together from people who were in your festival on Alter, because Alter is one of our deep dives into do.
Well, I will say it needs to be updated because this has been a wonky year with COVID and everything. But if you do go to the renegadefilmfest.com, there is a where to watch. And anyone who was in the fest that has their films available either on any streaming devices, Alter, Shudder, anything, we have links. So you can go and watch the films that were at the fest that are available.
Awesome.
We're not pirating anything.
I'm going to start getting into those in a couple of weeks when I'm closer to settled.
Yeah.
But if anybody's watching and is on that list, please actually find us, because like a lot of people find us randomly. But just be like, hey, I was watching Thursday with Vanessa and Marissa, and you said you might want to see my stuff, and I'll be like, yes, I did say that. Thank you. But I will
Send it our way
soon. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, we're going to lure you guys out in March, right? You're going to watch this year's ones live, I imagine.
We're going to be all over your film festival.
That's what I like to hear.
So that's what I'm talking about. When I said I have a friend I need to borrow anyways.
Perfect.
So,
good.
All right, we're going to move into our more controversial topic of the evening, because it has to do with remakes. So,
I'm ready.
What movies would you like to see remade by film creators?
This question had me for a while. Like, this was the one that I had to really do some soul searching.
I thought about a few. I will say I prefaced this with I want to see more original content, but I will play along. I don't have a problem with remakes, but I do think that there is some amazing original stuff out there, and I want to see that get its platform and see it out. But I like to play, so I will say I think Christine would be a fun one.
It is being remade.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, by a woman.
Brian Fuller.
Yeah, Brian Fuller. So
I
could
love
go
Brian
either.
Fuller,
So it can work for this question. Seriously, am I under a rock? Like,
you might be.
I didn't know that either, Vanessa, so don't feel bad.
I thought about, so these two are slashers. They are big, popular franchise slashers. But when I thought about, like, I don't know, would either one of them, how different would they be through a female lens, you know, and what does that really mean? But I actually thought like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't think either need to be remade. Again,
they were remade anyway, so why not one more time? Like Spider-Man.
I don't really care.
Right? You can just reset it like the Marvel movies.
Right?
Well, exactly. It's Spider-Man 14 with this guy, but yeah, I'd be curious to be like, because I feel like at least with Friday the 13th, I mean that's such a, you know, kind of male gaze plot, and
the whole like if you have sex you'll die, like that's the like I know that's kind of a staple in slashers, especially at the time, but that was the one that like really nailed that. They were like, this is a thing.
Well, and you know what I find interesting about this, and I actually, you know, it's funny. So Adam Marcus, who directed and wrote Jason Goes to Hell, has become a really good friend of mine, and he was sharing a story with me. And the funny thing was, Marissa, you guys had picked up on this and talked about it on your podcast when you guys were talking about Jason Goes to Hell. But like the whole you have sex and it's bad thing, like he made a conscious choice in that 9th installment that it wasn't so much about the sex, but kind of almost about having this unprotected sex, you know, and kind of throwing away the responsibility. And, you know, because there's, I mean, it's an obvious scene of, you know, tossing the condom out basically. But I thought it was kind of a nice, fresh take to be like, it really wasn't about the sex, you know, that's gonna.
I also think that would be a cool one to remake with a film creator, just because at the end of the day, Mrs. Voorhees is a mom. I don't feel comfortable writing for moms because I don't have kids and I'm not maternal. So I don't know what makes men think that they should be doing these things.
Agreed.
Which is why I said so much of the podcast yelling, this was written by a man. So like, if we went like maybe perhaps hire moms who are creating to handle mom characters in these
my God,
Marissa,
yes.
Do you want to jump on it? You and I?
Yes, please. We as moms, dude, Rosemary's Baby is another one that I put in that category of a film that needs to be remade by a woman because right for so many
right. A subgenre that I enjoy going back to that, but like kind of this maternal horror. You know,
I get worked up when people act like a mom can't be a badass too. Because as a mom and a badass, obviously, I take offense to that. But like, no, it's just it's hard. Yeah, I'm with you. I love that. I agree. I think Mrs. Voorhees deserves a different lens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I've got a hot take on this question, you guys, and I was even nervous to write it in my little notes here, but I want to see a BIPOC queer filmmaker remake a Sleepaway Camp.
Yes.
Because I love. Well, first of all, Felissa Rose is a national treasure, so I can never say anything against her. But obviously, there's problematic elements to the film, especially with a modern lens. It's upsetting. It's problematic. It's light, but there's something there, man.
Yeah.
There's no denying. And I even more of a hot take. I love the second and third films, but in that whole series, I mean, Teenage Wasteland is a great movie. But at the end of the day, like, I really think somebody could do something brilliant with that. I
would be curious to see how because like in my mind, there's no way to fix the ending, but like
Agreed.
maybe there is a way, and I just don't have that idea.
Right? There's got to be something there.
I've never seen it because the ending was given to me, and I hate spoilers, and I hate that ending. And so I was like, "There's nothing there for me." So I feel like not doing that ending would be the best case. I don't know how you get to not do the ending because I've never seen it.
Everything before that ending, it's a fun slasher.
Yeah,
I think it would be worth tossing it into the writers' room and getting people together and figuring out what you could do with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think there's a lot to kind of not attack.
Unpack?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, there is a lot, and I think it could be done in a very smart, respectful way.
Yeah.
In the right hands.
Yeah. My other one was I want a ragingly gay female of color Dracula's daughter. And not like a Hammer one, not like all the other. And bonus points if she's a direct descendant of Gary Oldman's Dracula, but I'll be okay either way.
Yes.
Like a real, like a perfect Dracula.
Yeah. I support this.
Those are my two.
I have more than two, but I did narrow it down because almost everything we've covered could have been on this list. But I focused it in. I would like to see the original The Craft redone by women because we're watching it for the podcast. I was like, why did I love this as a child? This is so wrong for so many reasons. Men have been here. I also would love to see Ginger Snaps because it was written by a woman but directed by a man, and I think some of that was lost when he was given that. So I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Only handled by femmes and see how that feels and have it be updated to be less problematic because there's so much good in there.
There is.
Not cringe.
Yeah. Fair. Dude, did anybody see the new Craft? Is it worth any of our time?
The actors are
okay.
The acting is so good. The actors are doing everything they can with what they've been given.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what I gave it on Letterboxd, but the movie is okay.
Okay.
It did not deserve the hate that it got, in my opinion.
I wanted the actors to have a better movie, if that makes sense.
Okay, that makes me want to watch it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Ginger Snaps would be awesome.
Yeah. I also feel like most Stephen Kings would benefit by having a BIPOC femme adapt it because he loves the magical brown people and he does not treat women well. So
he does not.
Getting one of us in there to be like, I'm going to adapt this and direct this, Uncle Stephen, go have a nap would be for the best. If we can make that happen.
It's time to take your Centrum Silver and go to sleep. Let us take over,
Because it keeps being handed off to like white dudes for the most part. And we keep having those same problems trickle in. And so you're watching it and you're like, this 100%. Is what I read. Why am I surprised? And
speaking of him, it's true because at the indie level, he has that Dollar Baby program, which that was my first film. I did one of the Stephen King stories. And as I was doing interviews and talking to people, I realized I was like, where are all the other women who did these? And I remember wanting to put together, and I was like, what is going on here? And like, I was so excited when Jennifer Trudrung did one. And yeah, I mean, I was kind of hoping, let's ask Uncle Stephen, like, why don't you put together a collection of those? Because they can never see the light of day, and celebrate the women who have taken those stories and really breathe some fresh perspectives into them.
I know.
We would open the podcast for that if they were to ever become something we could find and talk about, because
I know where to find a few.
That is needed. It's because we all love Stephen King's work, even if it does hurt almost all of us.
Oh, so true.
And so it's a problematic favorite.
Entire wall of books of his right here.
I have like Stephen King in there because he writes Bible-sized books.
Right.
And I've had them since I was like 13 because I was a creepy kid. I wanted to be Stephen King as a kid. And so
me too.
I actually go, wait, why are all of the brown people magical? Wait, why are the oh no. Oh, that was a lot. That was a lot.
Oh my God. It's so true. The Latino in me, the woman in me is horrified by how much I continue to love him. And I will die on this hill. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have no argument when people are like, this happened. I'm like, yeah, it did. He said
you're not wrong.
Right.
I love when people like because as an English professor, I've often had to say out loud that The Stand is my all-time favorite book, and nothing will lose you street cred in a room of academics quicker. But
what's so wrong?
I know, but like literally, people will be like, "How do you justify, child orgies and this and that?" And I'm just like, just this, and I just like. I can't. And you're right. God, if only somebody could take that and clean it, just polish it up a bit.
Yeah. I've had to like really start getting in like long conversation with people to be like, well, I'm used to not seeing myself treated well in media. And so it took me a while to know to ask for more.
True story.
I'm still learning how to ask for that. And so of course I still have my Stephen Kings in the other room.
Right. We're products of our upbringing. We don't know to want better. And then when we do, we still are like, but that's my hero.
Yeah, my first novel I finished was Salem's Lot. I know I have to go back for that though. Even though it's in there, I'm not going to reopen that.
You wrote it for yourself.
You can't be right.
Right.
But I also go ahead.
I was just saying, of course, to Stephen King, there's no LGBTQ people around unless they're being killed by hate crime.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I am frightened of the day he decides to put a queer brown woman in a book. That is the day where I just have to be like, take his contract away.
I know. Somebody's got to stop it. Yeah.
Leave it. But yes, my last thing that I want to be redone or have at least a femme included in as a creator, we just did the Alien franchise for my birthday, and watching how that went down was so awful. It needs to have a BIPOC film somewhere in that creator's realm. I know we want to keep it with like white men directing and writing, but like it can't keep going this way. I'm tired of seeing like two brown people cast, sometimes in brown face, and then murdered.
It happened. Yep. And always
sacrifices himself per movie, even if there's going to be reason there. That's the contract. So when you see a black man, you're like, who's he going to sacrifice himself for today? Oh,
right.
Jesus.
Or how quickly are they going to die? Right.
Yeah.
Sacrificial black men deaths all around. If it was a drinking game, I would have been drunker.
Right. At least they sacrifice themselves. Usually the Latinos are just like busy in the corner doing something stereotypical, like running numbers or like making tacos. And that's how we go down. All right. So I feel you.
It's like, why do you have an accountant who makes tacos on this spaceship?
Right.
And why is she in brown face? Like, she was not like doing that for you?
The only realistic part was when they put one of the aliens on a spit and tried to make some lechon. But other than that, I was like, this is inappropriate. Oh, no, when I read that, I was like, damn, that's true.
As we watched them, I would come out because we did those episodes live, and I would just be angry at her. I was like, I don't know what to do with my face. And like Glitter Burrito was like, I agree. And this, and this. And I agree. Because I was just like, burn it down. I'm going to find Ridley Scott tonight. And it was like, no, you're not. It's fine. But it is awful. Yes. And so like, she had to do a lot of mediating.
It helps to write the angry letter. Like, I'll do that. I'll watch movies and like, I gotta write a letter. I'll be right back.
So many people are afraid to critique things they love. But like, if you don't critique it, then it's never going to get better. Like, I'm not going to hang out on Twitter with like my favorite people who make movies if they do something problematic and be like, hey.
I think there's a difference between critiquing and having an intelligent conversation and thought about something than idiots who are just like trashing it and being nasty and stuff. Like, we should be having those conversations. We should be able to point out what is problematic about some of these films and honestly find opportunities to make it better.
Yeah.
You know,
Even if you enjoyed it.
Yeah, if we are not seeing enough of whatever it is in that moment, then we need to find creators who are doing that. We need more visibility. We need more moments of being able to look on screen and have relatable characters and not have them be tropes and stereotypes and jokes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, there is no such thing as a perfect film.
No.
As much as I want to say Promising Young Woman is the closest, but it's still not perfect.
It's
There is only one person of color in the whole film.
It's nearly perfect, but at the end of the day, it's very white feminism, which is a critique that I can't argue when people come up with it. I'm like, that's fair.
That is very fair.
And I think it goes back to, again, not seeing myself represented enough.
Right. We
and
just
not even ask for it. And so it's just like, I'm used to having to make myself identify with somebody who has nothing to do with my experience. Because,
oh my God, 100%.
Yeah. What? Yeah. But what are things you like to see recreated, Trent?
Well, I mean, just thematically, I want to see more femme-helmed witchcraft. There's a specific movie which Sharai knows what I'm talking about, but I can't say because it's in a future episode. And I don't want to give away, which we'll talk about maybe off live. But witchcraft, just in general, every witchcraft film that's ever been made could be remade by a woman, and it'll probably be better. I'm probably wrong. There's probably a good one out there, but I can't think of one right now. So I'm gonna stick with that. But also another specific one. If it was directed by a woman, I'm concerned. But I would like to see Cruel Intentions remade by a woman.
Yeah.
Well, because that's been done in different ways, different times. So yeah, I mean, because before it was Dangerous Liaisons.
Right, Dangerous Liaisons, right?
But yeah, I that would be a good one.
Another one that we discussed during my birthday weekend, which I think could be, I think we said it on the episode too, but Gothica. It's not as bad as we remember it being, but it could be so much better if a woman directed it.
Huh, now that makes me want to go rewatch that one.
I
need to watch it for the first time. I'm surprised.
It got a lot of hate when it came out, but I don't know why, because it's by far not the worst movie I've seen that weekend.
Oh, God, no. You took us on a journey that weekend, Trent.
I got to go back and find that little series. Now I'm curious what the other films are.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
They were about half good. Half of them were good. Yeah. I'm trying to think of them all right now.
Yeah, like
what? Both babysitters.
That's two of the bad ones.
Yeah, fair.
And then I don't remember what else we did, but we did Gothica, and then we did American Werewolf in London.
Oh, that's a great one.
And then we did Hush, which was bad.
Oh, you didn't like Hush? Okay.
So problematic for so many reasons. Also, Mike Flanagan cast his wife, who is not a hearing impaired actor.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah,
I'm a visually impaired actor. Sorry, we did another movie, and I am not in my head. His wife she was not appropriate for the role, and the mistakes that they made were blatant. And I was so angry after watching it that I went out and found a YouTuber who listed all the things that were wrong with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. Right, because I was like, I feel like this is wrong and this is wrong, this is wrong. And she was like, this is wrong and this is wrong and this is wrong. Here's what being impaired is like, you can see out of your corner of your eye. I'm like, I knew it. And so it was me roasting Mike Flanagan with my roommate now and Trent being like, yeah. And that's why I have to do better about watching things before we watch them and then go live. I can control my face.
I'm trying to think of the one I'm not remembering was. Oh, You're Next. You're Next. That was good. So half of them were good and half of them were bad. Sticking with the statement.
That glass was half empty, though. That was half empty.
All right. So, what films would you like to cover if you ever came on the podcast in the future?
Oh, man, that's hard. Okay. I'm going to watch some of these here on the list, and then we're going to talk about them.
But you also have movies you make, Vanessa. You could bring one of those. We do interviews too. We're fully
Easy.
operational.
One-stop shopping.
Let me make a recent one, and then we'll talk about that.
So
We don't talk about the old stuff.
DVD.
Yes, Marissa and I have some plans.
We're always scheming, bro.
Always.
Have you done Return of the Living Dead yet? Because
No.
all right, well, I'm here. And you want to talk about problematic yet delightful?
That should be the topic. Films that are problematic yet delightful.
Also, a solid name for my memoir.
That might be a theme next season.
Genre.
That should be a theme next season. We're gonna put on the short list of themes. Problematic and delightful.
Problematic yet delightful.
Will it
I'll
all be
send you a hat that says that.
Nobody would be surprised. I have an unreasonable love for that movie. And so that's like whenever somebody's like, what would you like to talk about? I'm like, I want to talk about Linnea Quigley being naked for no reason? I guess I do.
I have been so tempted, especially because I watch a lot of horror movies, is what I do in my downtime. I have downtime.
Same.
I have been tempted to just count how many random boobs are just there in the universe for no reason. It's not part of the plot. It doesn't make sense. I was watching a movie the other day, and like this woman was naked for no reason, and then the man just walked off anyway. It's like, well, what was this for? There were other ways to show she's not who she is. There were other ways than to be like, make her topless. She's not who she said she was. Gotta leave the room now.
It's hilarious because I've become my Jersey Girls partner Jackie. She will just adore gratuitous nudity, and I'm always like, this is like I'm always pounding my fist. She'll be like, yeah, but they were so nice. Like, look how beautiful they. And I'm always like, that's fair. Like, I can't. What do you say to that?
My thing is, if we're gonna do nudity, it needs to be part of the story, and it can't just be you getting like your young ingenue naked. Everybody's naked,
right?
Which is
that's right.
Yeah,
everybody was naked.
I think it needs to be fair. I'm fine
Or
with nudity if we're getting everyone naked.
Yeah, that's right. Give me
Let's
more
not
dong.
have the
If she's
movie
getting
eye
naked,
candy.
that's
Like,
fine. Yeah, it's
dude's
all.
gonna drop trowel.
Yeah, I'm tired of it being through the male gaze, and so it's just like boobs, boobs, boobs. We've watched so many movies. So one of the things we reviewed was Skull the Mask, and I was having a good time, and then all of a sudden this woman was just there, boobs out in a car. She had no name. The man she was on had no name, but then like she was snatched to the car, still boobs out. I mean, 2021, and I was like,
I just call that Wednesday.
Integral to the plot.
They had no names. They were just in the car so she could bounce with her boobs. Just go.
She's a girl with boobs.
Yeah. No, I'm tired of that happening. Like if we're gonna just have like random boobs, I want to see like some random naked dudes. Make it make sense.
Right? I want some dong.
Yeah.
If you're
I'm ready for it.
I see a pair of testes or every pair of breasties. That is
Put that on a t-shirt too.
That needs to be on a
I am
t-shirt.
running for mayor. I am Sharai. I'm done speaking.
Sharai, we just made our first merchandise.
Yeah, if you guys don't have that shirt, I'm going to be devastated because I'll take two.
I'm going to make a pop-up merch shop.
Yes.
Every pair of breasties, there should be a pair of testes.
Yes.
There needs to be one.
I'd wear it.
With a little sketch of both.
Right? Oh, just bouncing wildly for no reason. Nothing to the plot at all.
It's funny because I'm always like, is there ever a point where I'm being somehow crazily anti-feminist? Because, like I said, like my partner always has such great insights to this stuff because she'll be like, you don't know her life. Maybe she wants to sit in her car and have her boobs out. Maybe you should support that, not shame her. And I'm always like, but it's problematic.
I don't think it's about shaming the woman who's doing it. Right. I look at it more, it's like the person who's putting her in that position or saying, we want you to look at this and feel this way about it. That's where I think that shame comes in.
Here's my thought too. If that is not brought into the plot or the script anywhere else, like if she enjoys being nude, make her a nudist. Be like, this is Jamie. She's a nudist.
Yeah, she's at the coffee shop having coffee with no talk.
With her male friend who's also a nudist.
Jamie's a nudist. But that's my thing because we know again power dynamics are a thing in play at Hollywood. We know this painfully.
Absolutely.
And so a lot of these like women are like going out there to be actors, and it's just like, well, now that we have your contract, I'm going to talk to you about showing us your boobs because it can, and I'm gross, and you're an actor.
Yeah.
And so because that is there, it's never just like random pair of boobs. I'm like, did she even want to be naked that day? Also, what is she doing in the scene where she's naked? Because I know that when I try to cook, which I don't do often because I can't, I don't do it topless because gravity is not my friend anymore. I've turned 25 enough times where gravity has found me. I am not trying to make pancakes topless in my kitchen.
No, PSA, don't do it naked. I splash so much boiling hot liquids on myself constantly. That,
I thought you were going to tell a story about cooking naked. I won't
do it because of that.
No.
I have a weird fear of melting. And like, I'm pretty sure it's because of the amount of times that like I have burned myself with scalding hot oil or water. Like, you just hear me shrieking, and then I'm like covered in weird boils. I'm like, well, I spilt again.
Might also have something to do with how many people have accused you of being a witch too. I don't know.
All right. On that note, just for 10 minutes over. Thank you so much to Vanessa and Marissa for joining us.
Oh, thank you guys for having us.
Make sure everyone listening, we still have our summer content going on. We have wait, hold on.
What do you have?
Next week, like we said, we have Rawhead Rex coming up as our summer randos chosen by Shudder TV, and we're going to be looking forward to possibly covering some other stuff. So keep your eyes out. That's the next thing coming up. Is Rawhead Rex. Listen to Sharai laugh about Rawhead for 25 minutes.
That is, if you just start drinking when we start laughing, it's done. It's a short episode, but it can pack a punch if you make it, y'all. But yeah, Rawhead Rex is because we let our patrons on our Patreon pick our summer programming, and they went with Summer Randos, chosen by Shudder TV. So we went to Shudder TV at random times of the day for a whole week, and came out with a very weird assortment of movies. Rawhead Rex being the weirdest of the bunch.
So far.
Who in your Patreon did you guys wrong for this?
I don't think they knew what they would get because life is like a box of raisins. So,
someone's playing an elaborate prank.
Right? No, our patrons are also getting a lot of cool stuff. Like we gave them our Ginger Snaps Back, the beginning episode, which we did not put up in public, even though we did the first two on Anchor. That one's just for them because we have thoughts. And they're also getting Jennifer's Body tomorrow afternoon. And we're looking into getting them a specific classic we're covering for Soho Horror Fest on the 4th of July for people who can't be live with us on the 4th of July afternoon because you're out doing things you shouldn't be doing on the 4th of July. Our Patreon is a great place to be.
It is. Check it out. As always, thank you so much again, Marissa and Vanessa. It's been great. Thank you to everyone watching and who will watch this in the future. And as always, make sure you stay fierce out there.
Bye.